The Florida Joint Center for Citizenship presents Media and Political Communication. How does the general public learn about government? How does the government learn about the public? Both are important questions and lead to a similar answer: communication. The public learns a lot of its information about the government from the media. In general, the public must trust the information it receives through the media because members of the public do not have a way to verify what they are being told is true. The government, political parties and their candidates, and interest groups know that the media is reporting on their activities. They learn about the public by seeing its reactions to stories about the government, political parties and their candidates, and interest groups. The government and political groups use the information they learn about the public from the media to create their own communication directly to the public. This communication can take the form of campaign commercials, posters, websites, and social media. In this video, we will learn about the media and political communication methods of bias, propaganda, and symbolism. After watching this video, you will be able to 1. Define the terms bias, propaganda, and symbolism, and 2. Apply your understanding to examples. Let's get started. Bias is defined as a method of presenting information that is not objective or balanced and may present information that favors one point of view. There are a few different ways the media can present biased information, so let's take a look. One way is by deciding what stories are reported to the public and which stories are not reported. By reporting certain stories and ignoring others, the media determines what information or stories are important for you to know. Another way the media can present information in a biased way is how the media presents a news story. In print media, such as newspapers and magazines, information on the front page is seen as more important than stories that are in the middle of the paper or at the end. This can also happen on online news sources and during a news television program. The order in which stories are presented tells the viewer how important the media source believes the information to be. The third way the media can present biased information is the language they use in headlines and the photos that go with the headline. Is the headline written with positive or negative language? Is the photograph a positive or negative image? By answering both of these questions, you can determine the bias in the story. Let's check in. Define bias. Answer. Bias is a method of presenting information that is not objective or balanced and may favor one point of view. What are some ways the media presents bias? Answer. Bias in the media can occur through which stories are reported on, which stories are ignored, where in print and broadcast media stories are placed, words used in a headline, and images used in a headline. Well done. Let's recap what we've learned so far. Bias is a method of presenting information that is not objective or balanced and may favor a single point of view. Bias occurs in the media when certain stories are reported on and others are not. Bias occurs in where print and broadcast media places stories, and bias occurs in the words and images the media uses in headlines. Now that we know how the media presents bias, let's take a look at how the political parties, candidates for office, and interest groups present bias through political communication. Candidates running for political office, political parties, and interest groups also present biased communication. However, the difference between these groups and the media is that candidates, political parties, and interest groups are clearly promoting a particular point of view on issues. They want the public to be aware of their position on issues that impact the public in order to gain more support. In the case of candidates, to get votes on election day. You often see these images in everyday life. Without even realizing it, we associate images with ideas and concepts. This is symbolism. Symbolism is a way to replace text with images that represent ideas. Symbols are commonly used in political communication, especially during campaigns. Symbols are often used to associate candidates with images that represent the United States. Common symbols used in political campaigns are the colors red, white, and blue, stars and stripes, the Statue of Liberty, and the Liberty Bell. Symbols are also used in political cartoons to convey positive, negative images and points of view. Let's check in. Define symbolism. Answer. Symbolism is the use of images to replace text and represent ideas. How are symbols used in political communication? Answer. Symbols are used in political campaigns and cartoons to associate candidates with images that represent the United States and to convey positive and negative images or points of view. Well done. Let's recap what we've learned so far. Symbolism is the use of images to replace text and represent ideas. Symbols are commonly used in political communication. Symbols are used to associate candidates with images that represent the United States, and symbols are used in political cartoons to convey positive and negative images and points of view. Now that we know how political parties, candidates, and interest groups present bias through symbolism, let's look at a third method of political communication, propaganda. The government, political candidates and political parties, interest groups, and individuals use propaganda to motivate the person who sees, hears, or reads the propaganda to act in a certain way. Propaganda is the method of spreading ideas, information, or rumors for the purpose of helping or injuring an institution, a cause, or a person. Propaganda often relies on appealing to emotions to convey a message and encourage specific actions. Propaganda can be used in many formats. During campaigns for political office, candidates, interest groups, and political parties may use propaganda in campaign commercials, posters, and even speeches. Propaganda often uses symbols to convey messages. Symbols of the United States and patriotism, red, white, and blue, stars and stripes, the Statue of Liberty, are used in campaign commercials and posters. Candidates, political parties, and interest groups often pair their messages with these symbols to make the viewer believe that their message is patriotic or American. Let's check in. Define propaganda. Answer. Propaganda is a communications method of spreading ideas, information, or rumors to motivate persons to act in a certain way. Question. How is propaganda used in political communication? Answer. Propaganda is used in campaign commercials, posters, and speeches. Well done. Let's recap what we've learned so far. Propaganda is a method of spreading ideas, information, or rumors for the purpose of helping or injuring an institution, a cause, or a person. Propaganda relies on appealing to emotions to convey a message and encourage specific actions, and propaganda often uses symbols to convey messages and is used in campaign commercials, posters, and speeches. Now that we know about bias, symbols, and propaganda, and how they are used in political communication, let's test our new knowledge and look at a few examples. You may have seen this image before. Think for a few seconds of the kinds of symbolism you see here. Are there images being used to represent ideas? What about propaganda? Is the viewer being asked to act in a certain way? This poster is one of the most famous pieces of propaganda in American history. The man in the poster is called Uncle Sam. His initials are US and he is a symbol for the United States. This poster also uses propaganda. Uncle Sam's index finger is pointed at you and saying he wants you to take some kind of action. The patriotic colors in the slogan, "I want you," is a great example of how the government used symbolism and propaganda to get the American public to feel a certain way. Let's look at another example. You may have seen this image before. Think for a few seconds of the kinds of symbolism you see here. Are there images being used to represent ideas? What about propaganda? Is the viewer being asked to act in a certain way? During World War II, women in the United States took jobs that they had never had before. This was because hundreds of thousands of American men had joined the military and women were needed to replace them in many different types of jobs. Rosie the Riveter was the face of the propaganda campaign that encouraged women to do their patriotic duty and take jobs in the weapons-making industry. Notice Rosie's clothes, a blue shirt and a red and white headscarf. Red, white, and blue are the colors of the United States flag. Rosie became a very famous symbol of how American women supported the country during World War II. How the government and the media communicates news, information, and ideas is important, and in order for us to be the best citizens we can be, we should always be aware of what they are trying to say and what they really mean. Be sure to keep an eye out for bias, symbolism, and propaganda when you watch or read the news or use social media. Thanks for watching. This video produced for instructional purposes by the Florida Joint Center for Citizenship. Video produced and edited by the Florida Joint Center for Citizenship staff.